Good afternoon. I'm Dan Ponder, and I'm the Ellie Metter Professor of Political Science and International Affairs and the Director of the Ellie Metter Center for Politics and Citizenship at Drury University. I'm also your host for today's Springfield City Council interviews for Zone 4. About a year and a half ago, a coalition of community organizations came together with the shared goal of educating voters and engaging the candidates to upcoming local elections. For the April 6th municipal election, the coalition is hosting a series of candidate interviews for Springfield City Council, Springfield Mayor, and Springfield Public Schools Board of Education. In addition to the Metter Center, the other coalition members include Be Civil, Be Heard, the League of Women Voters of Southwest Missouri, the Junior League of Springfield, Leadership Springfield, NAACP Springfield, Ozarks Technical Community College's Political Science Department, Ozarks Public Broadcasting, KSMU Radio, and the Springfield Greene County Library District. Election Day is Tuesday, April 6th. And if you have questions about where to vote or your voter registration, please call the Greene County Clerk's Office at 417-868-4055. Today, the candidates are from Zone 4 and are listed in the order they will appear on the ballot: Matthew Simpson, Craig Kaufman, and Jean Kalapathy. Zone 4, currently represented by Matthew Simpson, encompasses an area that basically includes most of the southeast quadrant of the city, south of Sunshine, and east of Campbell. We will interview these three candidates one-on-one. Each candidate will be asked 4 questions, 3 common to all and 1 unique. Each candidate will have the same amount of time to respond to the questions, which is about 2 minutes per question. Questions have been submitted by coalition partner organizations and were not provided to the candidates in advance. The order of the candidate interviews was determined by a random drawing. This program was pre-recorded and will be posted on coalition websites and social media platforms after today's broadcast. And as noted, the names in which we will interview them have been randomly drawn. Our first candidate is Craig Kaufman. For those of you who will be watching on video, this slide shows his contact information. For those of you on radio, you can get a hold of Craig or find information about his candidacy at his phone number, which is 417-861-3980. His email is Craig Kaufman, CraigKauffman, number 4, Z, the number 4, at gmail.com. His Facebook page is Craig Kaufman for Zone 4, and his website is kaufmanforzone4 with the number 4.com. All right, so we'll dive into the questions.
Great.
Springfield has taken several steps to address the pandemic, including the adoption of a mask ordinance, occupancy limits, and so forth. What is your opinion as to how Springfield leaders have met this crisis, and what will you look for to help you determine when Springfield can safely loosen some of its restrictions regarding the pandemic?
Thank you very much. I think we ought to open up completely right now. And as far as the mask mandate, I don't believe it should be a mandate. It should be optional for people who want to wear masks, to feel like they should wear masks. Everything else should go back to, should we say, old normal. I'm very pleased with our health community. I wish there was more information coming out of the government other than just number of cases and just do as we say. I'd like to see a lot more information about alternative treatments out there. I'd like to see a lot more information altogether coming from Greene County Health Department. As far as opening back up, yes, we need to open everything back up now, if not before. I'm a small business person, and everybody has suffered, and the people that have suffered the most have been the people most in the lower income rates, the waiters and waitresses, the hairstylists, and all those type of people. Those are the ones that are really in danger of losing their livelihoods and their occupations. And it was tough for me, but I was able to survive. And it's a lot tougher out there for other people, and we need to to get going. We have treatments, we have the vaccine out. It's time to be opened back up.
One major issue in Zone 4, as well as in the city generally, is development. Recently, City Council voted to allow development of the Treadway project along Lone Pine in the Galloway area. After hearing much dissent from community members, Council voted again in December, this time to shift the decision to voters in a special election slated for August 3rd. What is your position on the project itself and the process by which it was first approved and then sent to the voters?
Actually, I was quite instrumental in that behind the scenes as far as the initiative petition process goes. I had been studying referendum, initiative, and petition for a long time on the city website for the city charter. And some people introduced me to the Galloway people. And I said, hey, you can do a referendum on this. You can do a referendum on this. And they took the lead and just went with it. And it's being painted as it's a NIMBY kind of situation, and it's not. It's more they wanted a smaller development there, and that was known before the developer purchased the property. Normally, I'm a super strong property rights person, but this was kind of a special case. And neighborhoods have a right to protect themselves. As far as my campaign slogan is for people, for jobs, for neighborhoods. And neighborhoods don't want a large development to come in. They need to build a band together and do what Galloway did. As far as development goes, I think maybe we spend too much time trying to help development, which means we're trying to help developers. And I don't know that many developers that need help. We need to be getting jobs, more manufacturing jobs, more getting the economy back open altogether. We need more single family homes. With the COVID pandemic, we need to not be packed, quite so tight together. We also need the ability to heat our own home. So it's hard to do in a big apartment complex. We need inexpensive houses built, and we need to find a way to do that. I support Habitat for Humanity and Eden Village for the less fortunate that need homes, and we need to do more of that type of work to give people their own individual homes.
Public safety is a major issue for the city, from major crimes such as murder to the rapid increase in the rise of petty and property-related crime. As a member of City Council, how would you address this issue?
I'm not quite sure where every problem exists on this. Is it a law enforcement issue, a prosecution issue, a lack of jails, a lack of judges, a judge issue, or it's a combination of all of the above? But we need to be able to do a better job of controlling crime in our neighborhoods. I think people need a little more relaxation and the right to protect themselves and protect their property. There's a lot of issues there. One of the biggest issues is poverty, and these government mandated shutdowns have created a great deal of poverty and homelessness. And we need to get away from these government mandated shutdowns to get things opened back up.
Okay, and then this is the question that is specifically for you. On your website, you say that you work to reduce regulations and red tape on small businesses. Mm-hmm. Which regulations and red tape are you referring to specifically, and why?
Oh my gosh. Taxation and regulation overall are hurting the small businesses. We need to give them more flexibility. Just getting your business license is a process. Even though the people are great to do that, I made a mistake on my check, and they did a great job. Overall, the types of regulations that are too tight, or some of the building regulations, to do a minor, interior infill change, it's like supposed to get a building permit. There's just a myriad of things that I don't have specific ones in mind yet, but I know in my own business that there's a lot out there.
Craig Kaufman, candidate for City Council Zone 4, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Our next candidate joining us now is Jean Calipathy. Again, for those of you watching on video, you can see her different platforms here. For those of you on radio, you can reach her on Facebook at Dr. Jean Calipathy for Springfield City Council Zone 4. Her website is Dr. Jean for Springfield. That's DRJEAN 4 Springfield.com. You can reach her at that same address at gmail.com. Her Twitter is at jcalipathy. Her Instagram is Jean Calipathy EDD. And her phone number is 417-889-8238. Thank you for being here, Jean.
Thank you for having us.
Again, I'd like to remind the audience that each candidate is asked the same questions with one question unique to each candidate. Springfield has taken several steps to address the pandemic, including the adoption of a mask ordinance, occupancy limits, and so forth. What is your opinion as to how Springfield leaders have met this crisis, and what will you look for to help determine when Springfield can safely loosen some of its restrictions regarding the pandemic?
Well, I recently, the father of one of my son's best friends just died of COVID in January. So I'm kind of a little bit attached to that issue. I think in Springfield, they've done what they can with the information they have. And I very much support the mask mandate. As far as the occupancy, I think that the smaller locations do need to be controlled. Cramming a dozen people in a small space does exacerbate the problem. But I think that they've done with the information they have, they've handled it pretty well. As far as opening, I don't know what that's I think the election is April 6th, and then the mandate expires April 9th, I believe. So what they'll decide going forward, I think will depend on the vaccinations in the city and how people are doing. I know we've just emptied one COVID ward, so that's a good sign. And I think they'll continue to make decisions based on the information going forward.
One major issue in Zone 4, as well as the city generally, is development. Recently, City Council voted to allow development of the Treadway project along Lone Pine in the Galloway area. After hearing much dissent from community members, Council voted again in December, this time to shift the decision to voters in a special election slated for August 3rd. What is your position on the project itself and the process by which it was first approved and then sent to the voters?
I attended the Galloway Homeowners Association meeting, and the thing that confused me and kind of concerned me was the fact that the charter says they have a right to do this petition and to say, we don't agree with this decision, we wanted to take a vote. And then they can come back and say that conflicts with the state of Missouri's laws. So how does it get to that point? I mean, how does it get to the point where the citizens are told, okay, here's the decision and you can take these steps and you can get this petition signed, and oh, well, it's illegal in Missouri. So I think that there are some fundamental problems in the process of how this went forward, and I think their concerns are justified.
Public safety is a major issue for the city, from major crimes such as murder to the rapid increase in the rise of petty and property-related crime. As a member of City Council, how would you address this issue?
I met with Chief Williams a while back, and we talked about the rise in crime. We get hit with a lot of mailbox theft and just petty vandalism and things being, someone actually stole a fountain, which I have not figured out how someone got an entire fountain and stole that. But he said basically that it was a shortage, that we were down 30 officers and another 7 expected to retire in March. And we talked to him about what they're doing to try and increase recruiting and to build the force back up. And I think that they're making some good steps to try and increase that. And I also like, Chrissy Love was talking about that they've increased the training for them for dealing with situational events. And I think they're trying to add, I think they added an hour of training, responsive and sensitivity training to the police department. So I think that people are aware of it now and they're working on getting it. I think we just need a head count, and people need to, one thing he said was that people say, oh, don't call 911 for little things. But he said that the system is equipped to handle 1 million calls. I mean, literally 1 million, they get 3,000. So people, if the whole see something, say something, we need to do that. If you've got a suspicious car driving around checking out mailboxes, people need to take advantage of that and let them decide whether it's an important call and to how it should be handled and not. So I don't think people should worry about not calling 911 because they see something in their neighborhood. And we need to all step up and work with the community services and the groups and help them to do that too. But we need more people.
And this is the question, are we in the next 5 years? And how might you address that issue or issues as a member of council?
Basically what we're doing with funds and resources. Yeah, I listened to the city council meeting the other night and they're talking about a $400,000 shot camera thing. And all I kept thinking was, well, 460,000 was the amount we spent on those red light cameras that we then proceeded to take down. So I think we just need to look at using the resources appropriately and that benefit more people and provide more of the things that we need to support the community and get people off the streets and get help to people who need it. And we can do the extra things like the grant project, pathway project. But I think that we need to look at what benefits the most amount of people versus just specialized enhancements for things that we want, you know, fun new toys and things.
Jean Kalapathy, candidate for Springfield City Council Zone 4. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Joining us for our third and final interview is the incumbent councilman from Zone 4, Matthew Simpson. Thank you for being here, Matthew.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And as we've done, for those of you seeing this on video, you can reach him at any of these. For those of you on radio, his website is www.electsimpson.org. You can find him on Facebook at facebook.com/electsimpson, or he's on Twitter at @MattSimpson417. All right. Springfield has taken several steps to address the pandemic, including the adoption of a mask ordinance, occupancy limits, and so forth. What is your opinion as to how Springfield leaders have met this crisis, and what will you look for to help you determine when Springfield can safely loosen some of its restrictions regarding the pandemic?
You know, this is something that when I joined council in 2018 and when all of my colleagues joined, was not something that we ever anticipated dealing with. It was a global pandemic. And so, you know, this past year has kind of been the most challenging year of my life. And I know the same for many people dealing with decisions and issues that we never anticipated. But at the same time, I think that we've been able to work closely with people like Clay Goddard at the health department, leaders from both Cox and Mercy, medical professionals, experts, and listen and learn from a great deal of citizen input. And what has guided my decision-making process throughout and what I think has guided the council's decisions is using that evidence, using the science to formulate policies that best protect our community, because without public health, without protecting lives, you don't have much else. And so that's the top priority, and doing so in a way that protects all aspects of our community, including our small businesses, including people's ability to earn a livelihood. And so, you know, we've been able to learn from the evidence as everyone else has and adopt policies like requiring masks that have proven to reduce the spread of the disease and protect individuals and also allow businesses to stay open. Our focus now is on vaccine deployment because that's what's going to get us out of this pandemic, and we're doing our best to facilitate that. And I think that the important thing as we continue to move forward is we keep protecting our community, but also preparing for success once we come out of the pandemic, because I think that if we take the right steps, we can come out of this even better than we went into it for our community, as it's been protected throughout.
One major issue in Zone 4, as well as in the city generally, is development. Recently, City Council voted to allow development of the Treadway project along Lone Pine in the Galloway area. After hearing much dissent from community members, Council voted again in December, this time to shift the decision to voters in a special election slated for August 3rd. What is your position on the project itself and the process by which it was first approved and then sent to the voters?
I think that as we're thinking about development and growth in our city, Those are things that if you look at community feedback through efforts like the Ford SGF comprehensive plan that has had, extensive involvement and really important to get residents involved in setting the priorities and goals for a city. That we as a city do want appropriate growth. We want quality jobs. We want small businesses to be able to succeed. We also want to be able to protect neighborhood character, protect quality of life, ensure that we have the infrastructure to support any growth. And so I think that with the Treadway proposal, that was something that has been an over 2-year kind of process where I was able to have a administrative delay that that led to neighborhood planning efforts and the development of a neighborhood plan there. And it's also important that we use our comprehensive plan for the city, as well as visioning documents like the walkability vision statement that the city adopted. And so I think when we're looking at development, we put out plans that reflect the values and the priorities of our citizens, and we want developers to follow those plans. And I think that if they work to follow those plans and produce developments that have things like this one had historical preservations at the highest level within city code for the Treadway General Store that bears the name of the project, and also for other buildings, including the Rock Building that used to host the Sequoia Bike Shop, and would again under this proposal, had tree preservation. You had investments in surrounding infrastructure, and we've been able to make investments in surrounding infrastructure as a city as well, including looking at the recent step now of more than doubling the size of Sequoia Park. And so I think that we want growth in a way that meets those neighborhood plans, that meets our city plans, and is supported by the infrastructure to ensure that it adds to the quality of place for everyone who lives here.
Public safety is a major issue for the city, from major crimes such as murder to the rapid increase in the rise of petty and property-related crime. As a member of City Council, how are you going to address this issue?
I think that that's something that requires a comprehensive strategy that we kind of continue to work on developing and improving and implementing. And it's also something that requires treating not just the symptoms of crime, which is the more kind of immediate response, but also focusing on the underlying causes of crime, which means that we need to continue to improve our efforts to address poverty, to connect individuals with quality jobs, to address neighborhood nuisance issues and the safety issues that they create. Dilapidated or vacant properties are a real contributing cause to this. And with the hiring of our new building development services director and council's action to approve the hiring of several additional inspectors, as well as policy changes to strengthen enforcement that will help deal with that. We also need to make sure that we can expand mental and behavioral health care for our residents, because that is the cause that is contributing to a lot of the public safety issues we see as well. And that's a way to address the root causes. And so we've focused on taking steps, including the Springfield Police Department's partnership with Burrell to provide that care along with the officers. The other part of this is that, as with all kind of police departments across the country, our Springfield Police Department is facing a challenge in recruiting right now. We've had academy classes that are well lower than they should be. We are short officers currently as a result of that. And we need to make sure that we are investing in our first responders, in our police, in our fire, who are providing for public safety. We recently approved raises for both as council, and I'm working on additional programs to address the low level of entry level pay and hopefully solve the recruiting issues for the police department, so we can have that personnel in place moving forward.
Okay, and for the question that's unique to you, the city's poverty rate is high, with some estimates placing it at nearly 25%. And you've stated on your website that you have taken and supported proactive efforts to deal with poverty and ensure that every child has the opportunity to benefit from educational opportunity. Could you briefly elaborate on those steps and what you plan to do in the future?
Absolutely. So this is a big focus of mine. My job is at Ozarks Technical Community College, which provides educational opportunities and workforce training to individuals that connect them with quality jobs. And one of the most rewarding things in the world is getting to see at graduations an individual kind of walk across the stage with their nursing degree or with their welding degree, knowing that they're heading into a well-paying job with benefits, and seeing their family there celebrating and knowing the transformative effect this is going to have on their family's lives. Oftentimes we'll see a mom come and complete her nursing degree, first one in her family to get a job with benefits. And then we a lot of times we'll see the father of the family end up coming back and going through a welding program or another medical program and getting connected to quality job there too. So I think it's important that we support our educational institutions that provide this sort of training. That includes OTC, that includes Missouri State, it includes Drury, Evangel. It also includes the training programs that as council we've been able to support and enact through the Missouri Job Center, including the Green Jobs training program that not only connects people to quality jobs, but also promotes the development of environmentally kind of friendly resources for our community. And so supporting, funding for those job programs to connect people with the training opportunities, and also supporting infrastructure, including things like, public transit through CU, improving the provision of public transit, supporting community organizations that provide for the basic needs of students, because it's not enough just to connect people to educational opportunities. That's the way we can ultimately transform outcomes to connecting people with jobs, but to benefit with from the connections with those educational opportunities, it requires those initiatives that we've taken and continue to take to support those basic needs while they're doing it.
Matthew Simpson, candidate for Springfield City Council Zone 4. Thank you for joining us today. That concludes the candidate interviews for Springfield City Council Zone 4. We hope you've gained some insight into these candidates' positions and why they're running for City Council. These interviews, along with other municipal candidate interviews, will be posted on coalition websites beginning on March 21st. Please feel free to share them with others. They'll be at minimum posted on ksmu.org, thelibrary.org, drury.edu/Meador Center, MEADOR/center, and on our Facebook page at LE Meador Center for Politics and Citizenship. No part of this video may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic or mechanical, without the written permission of the copyright holder, in this case, the LE Meador Center for Politics and Citizenship at Drury University. So I want to just a special thanks to Gene Calipathy, Craig Kaufman, and Matthew Simpson for participating and being interested in serving our local community. Please vote on April 6th and keep an open dialogue with whoever is elected for City Council and School Board. Our local government has a huge impact on our daily lives, so please be part of the process. And thank you for joining us.